everyone. I've had a bit of a rough day, but I had a viewer ask about what black crystals are good for, and I thought it would be useful for me to give that information to you all. Obviously, every crystal varies in their meaning, but I thought I'd give a generalization for what most black crystals tend to be good for. So, they are mostly associated with the root chakra, give or take, depends on the crystal in question. And they're generally associated with grounding, protection, and either absorbing or reflecting negativity. It depends on the crystal in question, obviously, but they often absorb. Some of them can kind of how do I put this, filter it, like shungite. Shungite's really good for like filtering things like EMFs. So I guess metaphysically it would be more for like filtering out some of that negative unwanted energy. This would be really good for that. But because they are associated with like absorbing or filtering or like reflecting negativity depending on the crystal, it's a good idea to cleanse your darker colored crystals like obsidian, tourmaline, and hematite often because of that. Also, they can be very protective, like I said earlier. Like, if you have a hematite ring and it breaks, it said it protected you and reflected the negativity back to the sender. But, like, say someone was trying to, like, send some negative energy your way, it protects you. And so, like, because of that, if you have a piece of hematite and you have a lot of negativity around you, you might want to cleanse it more often. You might want to cleanse your darker crystals a lot more often just to kind of break up any negativity that might be like kind of centered around that crystal or like have been absorbed by that crystal in some regards. It's not just darker color crystals, a lot of crystals like they can do like malachite. Although it's not black crystal, it's off topic. Malachite can absorb negativity, so you're gonna want to cleanse that one more often than say like, I don't know, citrine. Oh, citrine's kind of self cleansing, but you get the idea. Like things that have such a heavy energy and protective energy, especially something with strong protective or just strong energies in general, should be cleansed more often. Now, if it wasn't a crystal you were referring to, but tektite, something like agmatite or bioclay, I don't know which one this is. It's one of the two, but black tektites are often good for transforming and grounding your manifestations into reality. It's very good for that, and grounding your manifestations into the present moment. That's what black tektites are good for, but I assume you're referring to black crystals such as obsidian or tourmaline, in which case they're generally very good for protection. Obsidian is also good for scrying, but note that this is going to really get you in touch with more shadowy aspects of yourself because it's often associated with things like the shadow side of yourself and doing shadow work. It's very good for that. So if you really want to tap into your shadow and integrate with it, doing some scrying work and some work with black obsidian can be very useful for that actually. But again, you might want to cleanse often, and for doing shadow work and like a scrying work with it especially, I advise, if you can, like having some sort of mental health professional in that you work with be aware, because like it can dredge up some like really heavy things that you are not prepared to deal with, like trauma. So like again, or like parts of yourself that you like to hide, like it's gonna dredge up a lot of that. So you're gonna want to make sure you have someone you can talk to help you process and integrate and understand and cope with the things that gets brought back up by working with something like obsidian. So all that aside, in general, darker crystals are good for grounding, protection, and banishing. It's good for. Can be used in baneful workings depending on the one. It can be used for detoxifying depending on the one. Like shungite's very good for that. In general, it's good for protection and grounding and shielding you from negativity. Can absorb negativity, so it's a good idea to cleanse your darker crystals often. And I hope this was helpful. I hope this is what this person was asking about, but either way, I hope this person and everyone watching has a wonderful day. Thank you for asking. Feel free to ask more questions. This is Hawk signing out, and thank you for coming along with me on this part of my journey. Mwah.